Hi everyone. So in this video we'll discuss about a different transactional saga pattern. So this is called phone tag pattern. The name is basically comes from a game where you whisper something to one person and then it circles down to n level of person and you get the final version of the thing you told to the first person. So this how basically this name gets derived. So as we saw in the last video, in the epic saga pattern, the coordination was orchestrated. The consistency was strongly consistent. It was a totally atomic operation, and the communication was synchronous. In phone tag saga pattern, most of the things remain same. Only thing which is different from epic saga is that coordination becomes the choreography. So here in the first video I've already discussed in the choreography that every service will have their own logic on they have their own brain, and every service just gives the information to the next service. So as shown in the example, let's suppose we have three service. The first service sends a notification to second service. So this is, let's say this is call comes to service 1 to execute transaction T, and then service 1 divides the transaction T into sub transactions, let's say T1 and T2. So service 1 sends the information, asks server 2 to execute T1 transaction, and this service 2 sends T2 transaction to be get executed by service 3, and this service 3 returns the success to the caller method, or let's suppose somebody is consuming this information, they can get success from the service 3. So this is the happy part, but let's suppose the service 3 is not able to execute the transaction. It returns fails to the service 2, and then service 2 makes a compensating transaction to service 1. So in this way this transaction happens. So everybody is responsible for reverting their own transaction. So that's how the choreography pattern goes on. The service 1 which is receiving the main transaction it is called as front controller. So now we'll compare how this is slightly better than the epic saga pattern. So here as we can see, the service 1 gets the main transaction and service 1 gets the main transaction, and service 3 can return the success. So in this way there is no dependency on service 1 to orchestrate or to return the success to the caller system. Service 3 can return the success of that. So there is a less number of API calls which will happen between the services. So this is slightly better in terms of the number of communication which is happening between the microservices. So it will be bit faster than epic, because in epic there is an orchestrator and everybody has to return their response to the orchestrator, and then orchestrator returns the success. So we are saving that API calls, and thus it's bit faster than epic. But there is a drawback that in error conditions this is bit complex to implement, because in error conditions the number of API calls increases because everybody sends the error response to the caller service, and the caller service finally returns it to the service the main service. So in error conditions the number of API calls comparatively gets increased, what is we have into the epic pattern. So in error condition epic is faster than phone tag pattern. Third is the complex workflows. So phone tag is, as it seems that it's bit complex to implement, because if you have multiple transactions to execute, to make a architecture where every service is executing their own transaction becomes bit difficult without orchestrator. So in this manner, in the terms of complex workflow, epic is slightly better, and it's comparatively easy because you have a control on your orchestrator, and orchestrator can manage all the transactions. Coupling, as you can see, the coupling is slightly less than what is there into the epic. So in terms of coupling, phone tag saga pattern is better. Complexity level, it is, as you can see, it is more complex in error conditions, as well as if the number of child transactions are too much and there are number of services are more. In terms of availability, so it is better than Epic Saga because there is no single point of failure. So everybody, so let's suppose after executing a transaction on service 1, and then it goes to the service 2. So let's suppose service 1 goes down, but still you will be able to get the success from service 3 because these service will talk to each other and you will get the success. So in terms of availability, service phone tag saga pattern is better. And the seventh is scalability. So scalability will be better. The reason remains the same because you have number of services which have their own responsibilities. So if one of them gets down also after executing the transaction, you will still get the success from this architecture. Although this is not a widely used pattern, you can see these patterns in a legacy systems or apps which have a limited number of child transaction. So that's about the phone tag saga pattern. Thank you.